Good morning, and welcome to Workforce Skills with John Morse. Another beautiful morning in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's Monday morning. God, Mondays are a pain in the ass sometimes. It's amazing. It seems like every day at work is a Monday morning. We've gotten so busy, so big within our company, within our business. You know, it's hard to keep up with the day-to-day stuff. You know, it's part of what I want to talk about today is time management. You know, time management is something I think we all struggle with. It's something we all deal with. How do we manage our time appropriately to get everything done during a day that we need to get done? You know, years ago, what I started doing in my office is I started making a list. I'd have a yellow notepad on the side of my desk, and I would make a list first thing in the morning when I got there, after I get my guys going on all their jobs. I'd write down what I needed to get done for the day. Writing this down would help me focus on the duties or the things that I had to prioritize and get done during the day. And I started realizing very soon that I did not accomplish that list every single day. I don't think I've ever accomplished that list in a day. If anything, I added more stuff to the list. The next morning coming in, I would rewrite that list. And the things that were not completed the day before would be added to the next day's list, and so on and so on. To this day, I still am not able to complete those lists, but it helps me manage and focus on what I need to get done during the day. It helps me prioritize what's necessary and what's not so necessary or has to be done right that second. You know, it's interesting when we talk about time management. It's like some people, you know, they're driven in their goals and what they want, and they always seem to be on time. And you wonder, how the hell do they do this? I mean, how can they do it, but yet other people can't? And I don't think people are born with this skill. I think we have to train ourselves to be able to manage our time. You know, many, many years ago, you know, me being a little bit older at the age of 55, growing up, our vehicles were a little bit different back then. You know, you get a car stereo and you have to set your own clock in it. It's not like nowadays where everything's satellite linked and your phone hooks up to your vehicle and your stereo system. We actually had to set the clock and the time. I used to set mine 10 minutes early. I always had a theory, I'm only on time if I'm 10 minutes early. And I believe that and I preach that and I want to live by that. To the point to where now I'm early for everything, or try to be for the most part. But it's interesting how I've had to teach myself this over the many, many years. Also, as I've gone through this, you know, we talking about an alarm clock, and guys, here it is Monday. I got guys waking up late, not showing up to work, or calling, hey, my alarm clock went off an hour late, or I didn't hear my alarm clock. I don't even understand that. I guess maybe I'm built differently. I don't understand how someone can habitually be late all the time. You know, I got to a point to where I don't even need to use an alarm clock anymore. I just naturally wake up at the right time in the morning when I'm supposed to. To this day, I wake up between 3 and 3:15 every single day without an alarm clock. I've got an alarm clock that sits on the side of my bed I've had for, I think, 25, 30 years. I don't even plug it in anymore. It's not on. But yet I still have a way of waking myself up every single day at the right time. I'm never late. I'm always at the office. I'm always at the shop early in the morning, helping load up trucks, shaking everybody's hand as they're walking in, getting to meet and greet everybody. My day starts in the office. You know, it's interesting as I've continued this, and my wife this year, she retired in January and doesn't work anymore. And, you know, she gets to sleep in, and I still can't. Saturdays and Sundays, I can't sleep in. Sleeping in is maybe till 4 o'clock if I'm lucky. So I've learned to manage my time so much that it's ingrained in me. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of my DNA now. And it amazes me when I see guys showing up late for work, or they can't get to work on time. If you were 10 minutes late, or you were late every single day, that's a problem. And you can't blame traffic. You can't blame any other situation other than yourself for the fact that you just don't care, or literally just don't give a shit. You know, what are you doing to change how you want to be? What are you doing to change your habits and how to time manage? You know, it amazes me how much stuff has to be done in a day. I do more by 9 o'clock in the morning than most people do all day. And that's just because I'm up so early and I'm getting stuff done. I have found that being up early, getting everybody out on their jobs, I have a window of about 2 hours where there's literally nobody around me. I can answer emails. I can get work done. I can get half my list that I write on that yellow notepad done in a 2-hour period if I focus on it and I manage it properly, because I don't have the distractions around me. I have that downtime where everybody's out of the office, everybody's doing their own thing, and it's me time. I can actually be more productive during those 2 hours than I can any other 2 hours of the day for some reason. And I've learned to figure that out, to how to manage it so it works for me to be able to get this done and to be more productive. How am I going to be more productive during the day? How can I manage my time just a little bit better to be more productive? And I think that's something that each of us needs to take an inner look on ourselves. What are we doing differently? What do we need to change within ourselves to manage that time better? You know, some people are, like I said, they're late every single day for work, or they get a flat tire, or that something happens. If you're one of those people out there that you are continually late for everything, then you need to take a look and change, what am I going to do to be on time? Look at the time that you're constantly leaving, or you tell yourself, oh, I got to be out of the house in 15 minutes. You know what? It's time to take a look at that and change the time that you're leaving the house. If you got to be at work at 6 and you leave the house at 6:15, or if you got to be at work at 6 and you leave the house at 5:15 every morning, that's 45 minutes to get to work, and you're constantly late, it's time to start leaving at 5 o'clock. It's time to change what you're doing. And if you just flat out don't do it and you don't refuse, you're just lazy. You just don't care. You're not taking pride in yourself and bettering yourself, bettering your situation. Then you start wondering, well, why am I not getting a raise? Why am I not being noticed at work? Well, you're being noticed, but for the wrong reasons. So how do we change that? Change what you're doing. Nobody can do it but you. No one's going to force you to do this. No one's going to make you do this. I can't make my guys at work show up on time. It's a choice. Now, I can write them up. I can send them home. You know, there's certain ways to punish them, dock their pay for a certain amount of time for not being there. You know, there's many different things. Make them stay later in a day. You know, so what do we do individually to change that? For me, it was forcing myself to wake up every day with that alarm clock. It was forcing myself to be there 10 minutes early. It wasn't that hard. I say forcing myself, but it was easy. You got to want to do this. You got to want to change, but also you got to want to make more money. You got to want to be a better employee. You got to want to be a better boss. You know, it's amazing how many guys I talk to that work for somebody out there, and they're like, John, I'm on time every day, but man, guy who signs my paycheck is always late. He's never on time. Well, there's a problem. His business will never be successful as a next if he can't show up on time and can't take care of his employees. So take a look at who you're working for. Maybe that's not the right place to be. Maybe your boss needs to learn better time management. You know, maybe he can learn something from you. You know, you might say, well, I can't tell him what to do. No, maybe you can. Hey, I can't keep showing up like this. I'm sitting here waiting a half hour for you to show up, and I'm not getting paid when I could be working. He's costing you money. It's hurting your pocketbook. So start looking at these situations, find the right company to work for. When it comes to time management, it starts with teaching your own kids. How do we teach our kids time management? That's where it starts. You know, we're not born with it, but as parents, if we can teach our kids this, how to be on time. You know, I got a couple that works for me in the office, and they both work there, and they have 3 boys that are at home, and it's interesting sometimes when the boys miss the bus, but I know they've set up alarms. They have alarm clocks. They have an alarm system in the house to wake them up. They'll call the kids. They'll do everything they can to make them get up and be on time and out the door, even to the point where they got the camera on the front door to watch as they're leaving the house to get to the bus to make sure they're on time. They've put things in place to make sure their kids are on time for where they're going. So it starts at that young age. And if you can train them at that young age to get to a point to where they start learning this, then it becomes a habit. Then it becomes a situation where you're always doing this. You don't have to worry about, as you get older, whether you're going to make it on time or not. It amazes me how many people will call our office. We run an ad every Monday morning. Today we had a brand new ad run. We've already got people calling. One of the questions the girls in the front office ask is, what time would you like to be here for an interview? They get their name, their number, they write down a time. It amazes me how many guys will give them a time. Oh, I'll be there at 10 o'clock today, or I'll be there between 10 and 10:30. And they don't show up for an hour or two later. Well, you had a time set up. How can you actually set the time up with us for this interview? So you're setting the time and you were late for that. What impression does that give somebody that's hiring you? Do they want you? Or is that going to be your first step on the first day, that you come in today, you go through the interview, we hire you, we start you tomorrow. You're supposed to start at 7 o'clock in the morning, but you don't show up till 7:30. Is that what we're looking at by you showing up late to your own interview that you scheduled? So you have to look at these situations and ask yourself, what am I doing that's not working? Because it's nobody around you making this happen. Oh, well, traffic was bad, or, oh, there's a long line at Circle K or at the Quickie Mart trying to get my coffee, or the lady in front of me bought $100 worth of scratchers tickets and I was waiting to pay for my coffee. Knowing that you're stopping for coffee, knowing that you have to be at work at a certain time, make sure you map out what you have to do the next morning. Make sure you map out getting there on time. Our guys, we have a system that we use, a CRM program called Work Glue. And with this program, they get a job text every evening the day before around 4 o'clock where they're working at the next day. Even if they're at the same job for 3 months straight, they're getting that same job text every evening on where to be for the next day. They're able to click on that and it pulls up a map and it shows them where they're going, how long it takes to get there from their location. So knowing this is how we teach our guys to prepare to be on time the next day. If it says it's going to take them 20 minutes to get to the job site from where they live, because we try to keep our guys working on the side of town that they live on, then they must map that out and give themselves ample time to get there. The biggest excuse I hear, and I get so tired of this one, is, oh, I got a flat tire, I'm going to be late. I swear to God, there's more flat tires out there than I've ever seen. It shocks me. Stop making the excuses. Just make sure you get up on time. Make sure you wake up. Set the alarm. One of my guys, he had a hard time getting up, and I found an app on the phone, and it's an alarm clock app that you have to do a math question to turn the alarm off. And that's what he had to do to make sure he got up on time. So if that's what you need, something to force yourself instead of half asleep, half awake, clicking that alarm, turn it off, and then you fall back asleep, set up an app to where you got to do a math question. I think there was different levels on there to where they were simple, medium, hard questions, depending on the situation. And the alarm would not turn off until he answered the math question. So guess what? You got to be awake to do that. You got to make sure you're thinking, so it forces you to get up. Now, he struggled with even that a little bit. So then when he had 2 alarms that would help him get up, but he put one in the other outside the door of his bedroom, so it would go off and it would force him to get up and go turn it off. So you find tricks, you find ways to make this work. You have to find a way to make sure you're on time. So as you're going through your morning, your day, when you're managing your time and you finally figure out how to get to work on time, next thing is managing your time at work, in the office, or on the job site. How are you going to be prepared for what you need to do? I tell our guys, if you're clocking in at 7 o'clock, man, you're on the job site, you're ready to start working at 7. You're walking in with your tools, you got your bucket of tools, your toolbox, whatever you need, you're ready to go. You're prepared. You know what you're going to be painting that day. You know what you're going to be prepping that day. We have to be ready for what's happening. And the one thing that shocks me on some of these job sites I go on, and we've worked really hard at teaching our guys this, is have a workstation set up. Whether it's your desk, whether it's on a job site and you got all your paint buckets, your tools, or whatever the case is, make sure you have a workstation where everything is there, which means at the end of the day, you're putting everything there at the end of the day so it's ready the next day and right where you need it. When we're on some of these bigger jobs, we don't need 10 ladders in 10 different spots on a job. That's how things come up missing. That's where you're not as productive. So make sure you have your stuff ready. As painters, we clean our brushes out at the end of the day. They're ready to go the next day. We don't leave them in a bucket of water and then clean them the next morning and then get to work. They're ready so we can start painting the next morning. So we have to manage this appropriately so we are going to be the most productive. Well, John, I don't get paid enough to be productive. Well, then find a different job. It amazes me how many people claim they're not paid enough out there. And I hear it all the time. And then they get on a job site and you watch how they work. You watch how they carry themselves or how they take care of their tools. And it's no wonder you don't make enough money. It's no wonder you feel like you're not getting paid enough because you're not worth it. Prove that you're worth it. And it starts by showing up on time. It starts with doing the right job and doing it appropriately and managing everything around you. If you can learn to manage your time, if you can learn to manage a job site or your workspace and keep it clean and get things done in a timely fashion, you will see a change not only in your work, you'll see it in your personal life, you'll see it in the pay that you get. You know, it's interesting how some people say, wow, it's the boss is about making money and he doesn't care about us. You don't realize what it takes to run a business sometimes. Everybody thinks it's so easy to run a business. You don't understand the blood, the sweat, the tears that goes into it to make it happen. And what it takes to manage a business, what it takes to manage 100 employees. It is very, very difficult to manage 100 individual people. 100 individual people that had 100 different personalities, 100 different problems, 100 different families, 100 different rents or houses or vehicles or situations that are on the table every single day as we're running this business. We have to worry about every person that works for us and their personal life and their situation. We don't just care about the job, we care about their personal life too. How are they managing their personal life? Because how you manage your personal life will fall over and go into your work life. If you can't manage your personal life, then it's no wonder you can't manage your work life. So try to find a balance to where you can start to manage it. Find ways to make the change. You know, and if you're just so damn stubborn out there that, oh, no, I don't need to, and the boss can change or the company can just deal with it, then you're the problem. You need to change. And then you're not the right person for that company. There's a reason why you always feel like you're not making it in a company or you're not getting that raise. If you're that guy out there, if you're that negative person that's always talking about, oh, it's always about the company, it's always about this. If you're the one always bitching and complaining about it, it's time to change. You're the problem. You need to change your attitude. You need to change what you're doing to better yourself. And you will see the changes. And don't say, oh, I don't believe that, John. It doesn't work. How do you know until you try it? And if you tried it, and it doesn't work, you probably didn't give it enough time. Try harder. Try harder to make it work. It takes time. Nothing in life is easy. Nothing comes simple. You know, you don't just wake up one morning and start a business and you're a millionaire. It doesn't work. It takes many, many years to get there. It's the same with anything in life. You know, it takes time to change how we are as people. It's taken years for me to change the person I am. It's taken me years to be better at time management or a better person at managing people. You know, maybe you're one of the guys out there that, you know, you got the time management figured out and now you're trying to figure out how to manage people. How do I manage multiple people on a job site? You know, as new painters that we hire and we're training them as helpers and they grow up in the business, all they have to focus on is just them and their job and do what they're told and where to work and what they're painting that day. But as they become a lead on that project, now they're managing a couple people. It could be anywhere from 2 to 10 people on that one job that they're managing. Now you have to learn how to manage 10 other people on a job site. How do you make sure everybody's productive? You know, it takes time, but it starts with managing yourself. Once you can manage yourself, your own time, then we'll start a guy with just a 2-man crew. See how you can run just 2 guys on a job site. And then it builds from there. We're not going to push you to a point to where you're going to fail. We're going to help guide you and get you to that next level. So as you learn to manage people, that's the next step in time management. Now you're helping others around you manage their time. Even in our business, we're teaching our guys, our superintendents, how to time manage as they're overseeing their jobs. And how do you get to 5, 6 different jobs in a day and you're managing 20 people at the same time on multiple jobs? It takes training. It takes time. It takes making mistakes. It's okay to make a mistake out there. It's okay to fail once in a while. That's how we learn. That's how we get better at what we do. We learn by making mistakes. If I had $1 for every mistake I made in building this business, I'd have $1 million in my pocket right now because I've made 1 million mistakes. But I've learned from every single one of my mistakes, and I'm better because of my failures. My failures have made me the success that I am today. And that's what helps me keep moving forward. The other thing we don't do in our company is we don't micromanage people. I think people that are micromanaged fail way too much, and they are not on the right path of success. They're not given the freedom to fail and learn from that mistake. They almost fail in fear. They're in fear of failing all the time because there's always somebody over their shoulder watching them. When somebody makes a mistake, we want to guide them in the right way, and we talk about it. How do we learn from this and move forward? So that's what we're looking for with our employees. How do we learn from our failures and move forward from it and learn to manage ourselves better because of it? From the mistakes, I've learned to manage myself better. I've learned to manage the company better. You will too. You will make mistakes out there. You're expected to. That's life. Nothing in life comes easy, and you don't learn it the first time. You might learn it, but you're going to get better at it, or you'll improve and excel at it even better the more you do it. It's like riding a bike. You didn't learn to ride a bike the first time. You fell off, or you had training wheels, and then you eventually got to the point where you could pedal faster and you could ride it and you could jump that ramp. You have to learn to manage yourself. You'll learn to manage people around you. As you grow in a business and as you move up in a company, for our guys that move from a painter to a lead painter, the next step would be superintendent or estimator. As a superintendent, you're overseeing 4 to 6 jobs at any given time, as many as 20 to 30 people at a time on multiple job sites. That's very difficult. How do you manage your time when those job sites can be miles away from each other? We divide our territories up between our superintendents in a geographical location, east, west, north, and south. And that dividing line is always changing depending on where the jobs move to. So we're always working on our superintendents on how to manage their time, what jobs to go to, which ones to check on first, which ones are a priority. Then we have a floating superintendent that will go to different jobs throughout the day to double team some of the jobs that are struggling. So where we have a superintendent that is struggling with jobs, or we have a difficult job, we have that floating superintendent that's going to go in and assist him as an extra set of eyes to help out. So we have more oversight, more management, more direction to make sure everything's on track to where it needs to be. So as we do this, we're training these guys, we're teaching them and guiding them. In our Friday meetings, when we sit down with all our superintendents and estimators, the conversation is not what is going good that week. What are you struggling with the most this week? What can we help as a group, as a collective? There's a dozen of us in this room, and we sit there and we talk about each person's problem and what works, because what one person is struggling with, someone else might have already dealt with, and they can share that knowledge and that experience that could help assist them to make it better, to help guide them so they don't have to struggle as hard. We work better as a team. As a team, we are stronger. We are much better. We can help each other. We can guide each other, and we all respect each other. Now, every once in a while, we'll have somebody in a position that it doesn't work out. They're that negative person. They don't believe in teamwork. Those people will not make it in our company. I'm telling you right now, they will not make it. They are a cancer within that company. They're dangerous. They're toxic to the situation, and they will bring other people down. We won't allow that to happen with us. We need to make sure we have a cohesive unit and everybody is working with each other and helping each other. We all call each other during the day and check on each other. If we have a problem, I'm not just going to call one person. I'm going to call 2 or 3 people to get their opinion, their ideas, how they would deal with the situation, because maybe they've dealt with it differently than what I've dealt with. So that's what we're looking for. How do we manage this? How do we manage our time? You know, it's interesting. I'm at the office and shop every morning about 4:30, and there's some days I don't get home till 4:30 in the evening, sometimes later. Friday, I didn't get home till 8:30 in the evening. And you know what? It didn't seem like I worked all day because everything went smooth. There were some problems, but we still dealt with everything. We got everything taken care of that needed to be done. We're working day and nights right now in a couple jobs around the clock that have to be done. So there has to be oversight on these. How do we manage it? We take turns. We're not going to force one person to oversee all the night jobs. It gets difficult. So we share the burden. That's how we manage our time. That's how we manage our situations. We're a team. Not one person has to deal with every problem. We deal with the problems as a whole together. And every once in a while we get a job that's losing money, that's a struggle, and we talk about it as a collective. What do we need to do to change? What do we need to do to make a difference? What do we need to do to help our partners, our superintendents, our estimators be more successful? If one of my team fails, we all fail. So I'm going to help them in every aspect. And it's interesting when you work around someone long enough, you get to understand their traits, their features, their facial expressions. You can tell when someone walks in the office in the morning and on a Monday and they had a rough weekend or something happened just by their facial expressions. And being able to read that, we don't ignore it. Hey, what's going on? You look like you had a rough weekend. Let's sit down for 10 minutes and talk about it. Sometimes that's all it takes to be able to manage your day and have a better day. Because if you notice somebody struggling around you and you let them struggle and you don't talk to them about it, it's going to make that day rough. It's going to make it tougher. And if, say, that person's one of our estimators and they're working in that department where there's multiple people, it's going to start to affect others. And that's what we don't want. We want everybody to be able to work together and be a team. So how do we build our team up? We share our problems. We share our success. We talk about it. Guys are struggling back there on a job site. That's okay. Let's talk about it. How do we fix this problem? This morning, one of our employees in the estimating department pulled me and my partner in business, Greg, aside and said, I need to talk to you guys. Went to our office and sat down. He's putting in his notice. He goes, and we knew when we hired him, he came from another city here in Arizona, that he's licensed, bonded, and insured as a painting contractor, but he was moving here because of his kids and needed a job. And, so he grew up in our company for the last year and a half as a painter, lead painter, didn't go to superintendent, but went to estimating. And he's been back there now for 6 months, doing very, very good for us. And he said, I'd like to give you not a 2 weeks notice, but a month notice to make sure you guys can find someone to fill my position. And I'm going back to painting for myself. And for some employers, they would have said, well, get out. You're done. I don't need you here anymore. You're going to sabotage or whatever. They don't trust people. In this situation, I trust this guy and I believe in him. And my goal in my business is to lift everybody to my level. If I can get every employee in my business to get to my level of knowledge and experience within this business, we would be so much better. So as we're sitting there talking, and we decided that, let's do 4 weeks. He's going to help us train a replacement for himself. We're going to make this work. Not only are we doing that, but I also told him as he goes out there and he starts working and running his business here in the Phoenix area compared to where he's originally from, I go, I want to assist you. I want to help you as you have problems. Call me once in a while. Talk to me. If you're struggling with something, call me. I'm going to give you my advice, my opinion. Might not be what's going to work best for you, but I'm going to tell you what worked for me and how I did my business and what worked and how it came out the best for me. And that's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to help this guy start his business and grow his business and become something bigger. There's nothing wrong with that, because I tell you what, half the competition out there are useless. It's amazing how many companies out there don't have a good business head on their shoulders. They don't know what it takes to run a business. They're a good painter, don't get me wrong, or they're good at one aspect within this business, but they don't have what it takes to run a business overall. It amazes me how many guys think they're a great painter, but they are the worst business owner in the world. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what they're doing. So as he's going out there and starting his own business, I want to assist him. I want to help him. I asked him, are you going to the residential side or the commercial side, or what are you looking at? He goes, he wants to do both. And I said, that's good. I'll help you in any way that I can. And In a sense, I already have, because prior to coming to work for us, he had a little bit of knowledge at reading blueprints, but now the knowledge that he's gained is astronomical. He's able to go out there and bid on other jobs now. Now, obviously, starting out in the commercial side, it takes a bit of financing to back certain jobs, and it might be a struggle for him in the beginning, but he can build up to that. And that's one thing I will be talking with him about on how I started that, how I built up to the level I'm at. I didn't start out bidding $1 million jobs right off the bat. It didn't work that way. It had to work up to that point. I'll never forget in the beginning, and we talk about time management. Boy, managing money is another thing. If you can't manage your finances, if you can't manage your money, you are always going to be in trouble. And that was one of the struggles with me starting this business and going from the residential side to the commercial side. I'll never forget the first time that I was owed $10,000, and it was a struggle waiting to get paid, knowing that I had to pay for my paint, I had to pay for my labor, materials, everything up front. It was very, very difficult. But as the years went on, I learned. I grew from that. Each step of the way was another struggle, another level of trying to figure out how to manage money, how to manage payroll, how to manage everything. It didn't happen overnight. It was a time process. Each step was a little difficult, but as we've gotten bigger and bigger, it's gotten easier and easier to deal with. I've learned how to, with my vendors, set up job accounts to where I have time to pay them. I've learned about line of credits, how to make that work. It's amazing the amount of money this business floats. When you look at having 100 employees, think about just what you're making each week, what you take home each week. Imagine that times 100. That's what I'm having to float every single week to make sure this business survives. And it's very, very difficult, when you're managing that many people and you're managing that much money. In order to start your own business, in order to be able to manage the amount of money, you got to learn to manage your own finances. Learn to manage. You want to manage people? Learn to manage your own life. Learn to manage your kids. That's where it starts. Making sure your kids are on time, making sure everything's in place. It amazes me how many people, oh, John, I'm going to be late. I got to get my kid to the sitter. I got to do this. Find a way to make it work. If what you're doing isn't working, change what you're doing. It's amazing how many people are just stuck in that rut, or they're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It doesn't happen. Change what you're doing. Change. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's the geographical location you're living in. Maybe you got to move closer to the office or the shop or the work site. Change what you're doing. Manage yourself better. When I sit there and look at my notes on my desk and I'm looking at this, knowing that I'm not going to complete that in a day, I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. But I prioritize what needs to be addressed first. I'm prioritizing what I have to manage. When I first moved into the location that we're in for my office and shop, I lived 5 minutes from there. That was part of the reason. It was perfect. It was close to home. Then I moved somewhere else. It was 15 minutes away. Some days it's 20, depending on traffic. So now I had to manage my time differently. I just moved into a new house about 2 weeks ago, and it's a little bit different. It's about 30 minutes from my office and shop now. I'm having to remanage my time in the morning, what time I'm leaving, and I'm making it work. But you have to readjust. You can't just say, oh, I'll get there when I get there. No, you have to change. You have to readjust. So make the proper changes that you need to make sure you're going to be successful. If you honestly want to be successful, if you honestly want to make a change and you want to manage your time better, you'll do whatever it takes. And if you don't, you're not willing to be successful. You're not willing to make the right changes to be a more successful person. I will change whatever I need to change to be more successful. I'm going to better myself every day. I'm going to manage my time better. I'm going to make sure I do the right things. I'm going to make the best decision I can with the information that I have at that moment. Now, it doesn't mean our decisions change as time goes on. Your decisions will change, and it's going to change depending on the situation and the information you have at hand. So we have to accept that. But we're always trying to better ourselves, whether it's financially, whether it's our job, whether it's emotionally, whether it's mentally, education. We always want to better ourselves. In my business, I want to know what that paint bucket's made of. I want to know all the ingredients. I want to know why one paint lays on different than another paint. Whether you're an electrician and there's certain wires and why are some better than another. I don't know. Plumbing, who knows? Is one pipe different than another? You have to figure out, learn your trade, learn everything you can about that to better yourself. All of a sudden you're coming to work and you're talking about stuff and the boss is looking at you. Oh, wait, where'd you learn that? We had a guy years ago, we used to sub out all our drywall work. And we had a guy when we were doing a lot of residential, he started watching YouTube videos on how to do drywall. He taught himself how to do drywall by watching YouTube videos. And then he kept practicing and getting better. Eventually, he made more money working for us. He was our go-to drywall guy. We would have him driving to 2 or 3 different houses in a day doing drywall repairs and fixing them for us, getting paid extra and drive time. So he made himself valuable. He learned how to do this. And he took it upon himself on his own time to do that. And what did that do? It got him more money. It got him a different position. He eventually left us, and he now runs and owns his own drywall company. That's what it did. And he's very, very successful at what he's doing. So you can't say, well, I can't do it, or it's not possible. Anything is possible that you put your mind to. And if you can't do it, some of you just aren't, you're just not willing to. You got to change that mindset. Change that mindset of what you're doing. Because the only person holding you back is you. No one's stopping you from doing anything except for you. You can change your situation, but you got to want to be able to change it. And it starts in the morning with waking up and starting with something new. And maybe you're not happy where you're working at. It's maybe you're one of those guys out there with the negative comments thrown out there about the job and my boss, and it's only the ones that suck up that move up. Well, then get the hell out of there and go somewhere else. Quit bitching about it and do something about it. Quit talking about it and do something. Change your situation, because no one's going to change it for you. Only you can change your situation. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it today or tomorrow or the next day? Or is it going to be a week, a month from now, you're still in the same situation because you decided not to do anything about it? You're content in your misery. We need to find a way to better ourselves and pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get out and find something better. So as you're listening to this, think about what you need to do to change your situation. What do you need to do to manage yourself better, manage your time better, change your situation? Maybe it starts with the job. Maybe it starts with just waking up on time. Quit with the excuses. It's amazing the excuses I hear and amazing excuses I get. I don't care. I don't have time for excuses. They don't mean anything. Excuses are just that. It's an excuse not to better yourself. It's us making us not want to do it. You're just making a reason for you not to be successful. Why do that? I want to be successful. I want to be a better person. I want to manage my time better. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be the best version at work today that I can be. And no one's going to stop me. No one's going to stop me from being on time. I'm going to make sure I leave early enough. I'm going to be there. If I am running late because I tried to leave early and something out of the ordinary happened, I'm calling ahead and saying, hey, here's where I'm at. Here's what's going on. That's managing my time. That's managing my situation. That's so the boss knows that, hey, I'm trying to get there. Here's where I'm at. I'm going to get there as quick as I can. I left early, but something happened. There's an accident. There's a rollover on a freeway. I got a flat tire. Here's a picture of the tire. Here's a selfie of me changing the tire. Do something to set yourself up for success. Think about how you're doing it. Think about how you want to better yourself. What am I doing today to better myself for tomorrow? What am I doing today to set myself up for success for tomorrow? How am I going to manage myself better? How am I going to manage my time better? How am I going to manage the situation in the morning better to make sure my kids get off to school? Or my kids get their homework done at night and are in bed on time so I can get sleep on time, be up early in the morning to get to work, to do what I need to do. That's what we have to start looking at. Start looking at what you can do differently. It's not what other people around you can do differently. Don't focus on everybody else. Don't focus on, and if you're the guy focusing on the one that always, everybody's past me, everybody's being more successful, everybody's moving up position, why am I not getting it? And you're the one with the negative comments out there, then you're the problem. Change your situation for the better. Become a better person. Quit being the excuse person. Manage it. Maybe it takes writing a sticky note and stick it on your mirror each day to tell you what to do. Hey, leave at this time. Keep track of your watch. Some people lose track of time. Maybe it's you're sitting in the bathroom on TikTok, social media, something. Stop doing that. Focus on what you need to do to get out the door on time. You know, it's maybe it's taking too much time to make your coffee. Get a coffee maker with a timer that's going to make your coffee. Do whatever it takes to make yourself on time and better. That's the first step to success. That's what's going to make you successful. And if you can learn to do that, I guarantee you in time you'll see the change. And if you say, oh, John, I haven't seen the changes yet, then you haven't tried long enough. Keep doing it. It will happen. And maybe you're not at the right company. Maybe it's time to change job locations. I'm telling you right now, not everybody that owns a company or not every boss out there is the best. There's some shitty bosses out there and some shitty companies. Find one that works for you. Find one that's going to be better for you. That's what you need to do. Find the best situation for yourself and manage yourself. Learn to manage your family. Learn to manage the people around you. Learn to manage a crew. Learn to move up in that position. I'm telling you, it will happen. It's going to happen. You just got to follow the right path. So if you're struggling out there with this and you don't know how to do it, find some information. Talk to somebody about it. If you're the one that's constantly struggling getting out there on time or getting to work on time, talk to somebody else that's always on time. Hey, man, what do you do to get to work every day on time? You're always here before everybody else. I can't seem to do it. What are you doing differently? What do I need to change? That's what you need to start looking at. So as you go through your day-to-day, think about today while you're working. If you're listening to this at work or you listen to it on the ride to work, on the ride home, think about what you can do differently today to manage yourself better and manage your time. Thanks for joining us, guys, today. I appreciate you. Stay hungry.